So, I'll tell you what, it's getting a bit chilly and it's late. Hopefully you have watched the video that is underneath this one, which is all about our experience at Bolton today. If you haven't, go and watch it. And this is video number 2. Just bear with me, because I'm putting another log on the fire. Let's get 2 bars on. It's late and it's cold, but I've got to put this out today. As promised, if you are a member of the Black Rifle Model Works community group on YouTube or Facebook, this will also be reiterated this coming week through Luke and the team. And I'm going to explain what I want to do with Luke and the team and other clubs around the country. Okay. So, I might talk about something and then sort of like cover it again and go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. But hopefully by the end of the video you will understand what we're going to try and do this year. And I need to start smiling because it's all good. I'm going to give you a backstory first, and hopefully stay with me. Really stay with me for this one. And this is one of the videos that I really do want your comments on, okay? And you'll understand why at the end. So, story is, when I was driving to work last year, which sounds really weird, doesn't it, when it's January. So I'm driving to work last November, day in, day out. And we've got the radio on at work, day in, day out. And I constantly, obviously it's coming up to Christmas, and you're bombarded by the DJs. Sort of, you've got to filter out the Mariah Carey shit, right? And you've got to, and you're sort of listening all the time. And I listened to, I think it's, is it Heart? Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden on a morning driving to work. Brilliant presenters, they proper crack me up. And I'm listening to them, and then I get to work and the radio's on. And what I've noticed is that the presenters of those shows, and it didn't really matter which radio station we had on at work, they were starting to say, you know, when you go shopping for toys for your kids this year, spare a thought for the kids who aren't going to get any. And happens, if you buy something for your kids, why don't you just buy something for disadvantaged kids who aren't going to get anything? And I'm lucky. I've got 2 beautiful kids, and I'm modern day dad. And throughout the year they get spoiled, of course they do, because every generation wants to give their kids what they couldn't have off their parents. And I had a fantastic upbringing with my parents, who gave me everything that they could possibly want to give me, and my brother and my sister. But I've got a really big heart, and I'm listening to radio thinking, that's a really good cause, is that? Because there are kids out there that get absolutely gall. Not just at Christmas, but at any time of year. And I'm driving to work day after day and I'm listening to radio day after day. And I've just, sometimes the best ideas are the simplest ideas. And I think when I go shopping for my kids' bits of gifts this year, instead of buying a toy and taking it to a radio station or to a children's hospital where there's kids at hospital that, who wants to be in hospital at Christmas, for crying out loud? Near mine grown-ups, these are kids. I'm thinking, instead of buying a toy for Christmas, I'm going to buy a kit. I'm going to buy a kit for Christmas and take it to the radio station and say, there you go, mate, give that to a disadvantaged kid this year. And then I drive another couple of miles and I think, I'm not going to buy one kit, am I? I'm going to buy 10. And then reality kicks in. It's like, how much you on an hour, right? You don't own Airfix, right? You work for a living. But sometimes that's not how my brain works, because I drive another couple of miles down the road and I think, I'm not going to buy 10 kits, I want to buy 100 kits. And then I get to work and I'm listening to the same radio station at work, and it's constantly saying, when you go shopping this year, buy toys for disadvantaged kids. Bring it to the radio station, we will do the distribution. And by the time I get to work, I've been travelling for that sort of 20 minutes. I've gone from, I want to buy a kit, an Airfix kit for a disadvantaged kid, and it manifests in my head to, how can I raise enough money to buy 100 kits? That's how quick that can. And on the one hand, I've got, don't talk stupid, daft lad. But on the other hand, I've got, how can I do that? How can I do that? I don't want a medal. I don't want any money. I don't want What I want kids who are going to get sod all this year, something to play with, something to do. And, I'm at work and I have to concentrate, but I just can't because I've got this idea going round in my head. And then by the time I get home, 9:15 at night, and it's just manifested so much in my head, it's like consumed me, if you will. And I can't shake it off. And when I've got an idea like that, and I'm burning my ass, and I can't shake it off, I know it's good. I know it's got to be good. Now, I am part of Sesku and Emsworth Community Scale Model Club, as you know, and I think maybe it's something that the club can do. We can get some money together, we can buy 20 kits between us. Starter kits, I'm talking about starter kits, 1 in 72 starter kits. I'm not talking about new Spitfires and stuff like that, right? I'm talking about dead easy, simple kits to build. But giving them to a radio station to distribute to the kids. But then I start to think, don't forget the kids in hospital. Because I was 14, I had my tonsils out when I was 14, and I can remember back in the day, when you had your tonsils out, you were in hospital for 2 weeks. And you're not anymore, are you? It's like, see ya. But there's some really, really poorly kids in hospitals, and there's the radio stations that are banging on about buy a toy. Can you see where I'm going with this? And it gets to sort of 9 o'clock and I'm sat in here. How can I do this? How can one guy do this? I want to help so much, but don't forget it's November and time is ticking. And I can't do it this year. This is me thinking to myself last November, December. And as much as I want to literally run with this idea, I can't, because it's too late. But there's always next year. And that's this year, because it's 2023. So I need some muscle, for want of a better word. And I need somebody that is going to help me with this idea and not just embrace it, but literally cuddle it to death and say, we want to help. And the only person that I can think of, the only team I can think of apart from our team, is Black Rifle Model Works. Okay. Run by Luke and the team. So I've sort of made a few, connections, if you will, with Luke. And I've talked to him, and he seems like a really genuine guy. He seems like the community group that he has got going on YouTube is growing. It feels like Luke and the team could possibly provide me with the muscle that I need. When I say muscle, what I mean is I need somebody that's got connections, right? That knows somebody who is a supplier of kits, who knows somebody who can do this, who can do that. And I pinged Luke and mate Gizabel, and we'd sort of messaged each other, but we'd never talked. And because I'm not shy in coming forward, I run the YouTube channel, and to do this you've got to be pretty ballsy, really, because obviously there's a lot of negativity runs around. Oh, your content's shit, and oh, you say too many times, etc, etc. And you've got to have pretty thick skin to put yourself out there, because you've got to accept that there's a level of criticism that can come back. Luckily, I don't care about that, because I've said a million times I don't do this for me. I do it so that my kids can watch me waffle on when I've long gone, and they say, put my dad on telly. So I get hold of Luke and I say, mate, give me a ring. And he rings me up, and he's sat in his chair with cap on. All right, Mark, how's it going? All right, mate, how are you? Nice to speak to you. Nice to meet you, da-di-da. And I said, listen, mate, I've got an idea that I want to run with, and I want you guys to be involved, if you will. I'm doing this because I'm freezing. Idea, let's have it. What you got? And I tell him the backstory. You're listening to radio, and I need some muscle, and I want you guys to be on board with this. How can Black Rifle Model Works help me raise enough money to buy 100 kits? And luckily I'd spoken to the right person, because thank you, Luke, for being completely on board with this. And between us, we're sort of like bouncing this idea together for the next half an hour. 100 kits, let's make it 1,000. Let's start a Just Giving page up. Now you know where I'm going with this video, don't you? Let us get in touch with Airfix. Luke says, I know people at Airfix. I say, I don't. However, I also know people all over the country, because again, the idea of manifesting in my head, I live near Pontefract in West Yorkshire, and I think, where's the kids' hospitals round here? Where's the radio stations round here who will accept a donation of kits? And I talked to some lads down at the club about it, and they're saying, whoa, have a minute here, Mark. Some of the hospitals won't accept kits because there's glue and paint. Right, okay, point taken. Low stumbling block, mate. Number one, da-da-da-da-da. Well, have a minute, mate. Airfix do starter kits, quick kits that techno glue. And during the discussion, we're chatting away, and Luke, bless him, he comes out with the absolute best one-liner I've heard in a long, long time. And we're talking about the hobby in general. And I said, you know, when you look at, don't forget we've been to Telford in November. And our club, Sesku, is thriving. And Luke's group on YouTube and on the Facebook is thriving, and we're all thriving. But there seems to be, when you're looking at the stores around the country closing down because a lot of people are doing online these days, Amazon, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, whatever. But it seems to be, I sort of got the feeling that stores are closing down. And in my head, that sort of translated into, you know, it almost feels like the hobby is dying. And Luke's perler of a one-liner, and full credit to him, is, no, Mark, the hobby isn't dying, but the people that do it are. And I'm 52. The average age of a white guy, well, any guy, I suppose, in this country, statistically, in 2023, is 80 years old. If you can get 80, you've hit the national average. The hobby's not dying, mate, but the people that do it are. And you know what? When you go to a show, whether it's Telford, Bolton, Halifax, wherever, I've said them because they've just come off the top of my head. You pause, you take a minute and you go, if you look round, how many 10, 11, 12-year-olds are there? Seriously, how many? I bet I could count on one hand, literally. How many 50-year-old plus people can you count there? You need a million fingers, wouldn't you? The hobby's not dying, but the people that do it are. And when it all ties in my head, when I'm bouncing ideas off Luke, the bottom line of it is that in December 2023, this year, and it's January 2023 now, we want to raise enough money and get enough kits that we can nationally, because it's grown, nationally go to children's hospitals, local radio stations, to me, to Luke, to everybody else, and say, here's a donation. They're not toys, they're quick kits, or the 1 in 72 kits with a bit of glue. Please distribute these accordingly. Which is killing a couple of birds with one stone, really, isn't it, if you think about it? Number one, it's giving those kids, whether they're disadvantaged kids, kids in hospitals, etc., something tangible to do over Christmas. And remember, some of these kids get absolutely nothing. And some of them get less than that. Awful. Awful in this day and age. But it still happens. And on the other hand, you're also bringing along, maybe, potentially, the next generation of builders. You look at statistically, my ass is on fire. You look at statistically, the amount of kids that are doing modelling now is very low compared to the national average age of who's modelling. Me, 50 plus. Guys at 45 plus. And we're laughing and joking about it, saying, yeah, you do it as a kid because it's what adults pass down. Or maybe a relative buys somebody a kit, you know, the niece, the nephew a kit. And you do it, don't you, up to like age 13, then you hit high school. Some kids join the cadets, and the cadets kind of try and continue with that. But you would have to say, the majority, out of 100% of all the kids up to age 13, you know, from sort of 5, 6 year old up to 13, if that's 100%, you could possibly say that 95% fall off the wagon. Because peer group pressure from kids at high school. What do you do? Build Spitfires. What? Because times have changed. What do you do? I'm a TikToker. Who would have thought we were saying that 10 years since? I'm a YouTuber. I'm an influencer. I'm this, I'm that, I'm other. And it's basically all geared around tech. I don't mind tech. I love a bit of tech. But I'm a bit old school. Bald, fat, old school. And I think instead of doing this, right, do a bit of this. And out of the 100%, 95% fall off. However, out of the 5%, I'm making these numbers up, out of the 5% that continue for a little bit more through that peer group pressure, then they find out what this is, right? And they find out what that's for, right? Yeah, let's be adult about it, right? We grow up. We start going to pubs and finding girlfriends and boyfriends and one thing and another. And realistically, modelling for the majority goes away. Then you get work, you get a job, still not come back, you get a wife, husband, partner, still ain't come back, you get a mortgage, you have kids, still don't come back, your kids grow up, 9, 10, sometimes now, dad's got a George. We introduce our kids back into it by getting them a kit, and actually it reintroduces us to it as well. And we try to encourage our kids to do a little bit of building, whether it's Lego, you know, Airfix kits, Lego kits, because some of them Lego kits, let's be honest, they're absolutely phenomenal, aren't they? Expensive, but wow. And what we hope is that even though those kids might do it again, so that's the next generation coming through, history repeats itself in that by the time that they get to 13, they drop off. And it's almost like a regurgitation of kids coming up between sort of 7, 8, maybe 9-year-old up to 13, 14 at a push. That they'll do it, but then they'll drop off. And next generation, they do it, but then they drop off. Until they hit where they've grown up like I did, and you've got your partner, beautiful, and your mortgage, and you're working, and you've had kids, and you're bringing them up, and all of a sudden, as a sort of 45, 40 plus year old fella, man, woman, whatever, and you start to get more time in your life and you want something to do, something other than cleaning car on a Sunday morning, mowing lawn. Don't marry her, have me. And that relationship that you had with modelling when you were 30, 40 years since, sometimes that comes back, which is what it did to me. And a lot of people out there. So I'm talking to Luke, I digress. I'm talking to Luke and I say, I want to kill a couple of birds with one stone. I want to be able to give some kits to disadvantaged kids, radio stations, so that they can hand them out. And hopefully inspire the next generation of builders. The hobby's not dying, but the people that do it are. And Luke, bless him, is totally on board with this. So, where do we go from here? And how can you help me and Black Rifle Model Works and Sesku achieve our goal? What is our goal? Well, come on, what's his goal? Our goal for 2023 is to get as many kits or cash as we possibly can and turn that cash into kits. I'm going to do it for the Wakefield Leeds area. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I can get somebody a little bit further north to jump in and help make it national. Luke's going to look after the Birmingham area. I've got Ev in Wales, who I have chatted about this to, and Ev says that he will try and look after the Welsh contingency. I've got Clive Brewer down south, who is going to try and look after down south. And anybody else really that's watching this in the UK, think about where I've said, right, who wants to say, I love that, I want a part of that. Our club, my club, wants to be a part of that because it's such a great thing to do. So, I've met Luke today again, as you've seen in the previous video, and we are already looking at how we can do it, how you can help, where we're going to get kits from, who's going to donate money, who's going to donate kits. If people start donating kits, where we're going to keep them for the next 8 months. How are we going to distribute kits that we get? Who's going to cover the cost of that? Because petrol's not free, is it? And posting free. And we're bouncing these ideas off each other and we are going to come up with a solution. Because the idea is too good to cast aside. Helping disadvantaged kids. I've got 2 kids who are not disadvantaged. And maybe you've got kids who aren't disadvantaged, but I'm sure that out there in this world there are kids who get jack. And kids in hospitals and Boy Scout groups, Cubs groups, Air Cadet groups, Army Cadet groups, local groups of kids who could open a box next December and look at some model kits and hopefully inspire them to be that next generation. Whether that's with their group leaders, with the doctor, with the school teacher, with the carer, the parent, with anybody that says, let's have a look what you've got. Oh, wow, I did this as a kid. Chuffing hella. 1 in 72 Spitfire. Chi-ching. Because that's how I feel when I go and look at a new kit. Maybe that's how you feel when you see a new release, a new kit. When you buy a kit off eBay, that little bit of a euphoric buzz that you get, that it's like, you know what it's like. You buy a kit, you open it up, and whoa, look at detail on this, and look at this, and look at this, and look at this. And I really don't care a monkey's toot if a kid gets a kit and slaps paint on it. I don't care. And if there's glow marks and there's fingerprints and there's decals missing, who cares? Who cares, right? I don't care. What I care about is these kids have got something to do, and it's going to bring along that next generation of builders for a period of time, that when we get into the middle bit between finding the opposite sex and beer and work, kids, mortgages, wives, family, that little bit there, they do it here, then it drops off, and hopefully they'll pick it back up. Like I did. And like maybe you did. So, Luke is going to put an announcement out on Black Rifle Model Works very shortly. We've come up with a name for this because we need a name for it, don't we? And it's Kits for Kids. Simple. Kits for Kids. And we're going to explore loads and loads of different ideas on how, when, not why, because we know why, how, when, who, cost, storage, distribution. Maybe you can help. Maybe you'll say, Mark, Luke, I run a warehouse in so-and-so, secure warehouse. I'll store your kits for you, mate, and don't worry about distribution costs because I run a fleet of vans. Maybe it might be something along those lines. We are going to contact Airfix. Well, actually, I've made contact with Airfix today. And I'm going to speak to Luke about that tomorrow, which is Monday. And we're going to try and get them on board to help. Why Airfix? Why not Revel? Why not Tamiya? I'm 52, and because I've got that old school mentality, when I got back into the hobby 7 years ago, got a bit of time on my hands, I'm on eBay, I'm looking for a Lassa slow cooker, whatever, and I don't even know where it came from, but I just had this. I used to do modelling as a kid, and the word that I typed into eBay was Airfix. Airfix for me is a national British institution that's come through a great renaissance period with some market leading kits, fantastic value for money. I'm not saying I'm not sponsored by Airfix. You know, it's British, it's UK, it's old school, that's come through, that's proved that from a slippery slope down, we've watched the programme, we've watched the Hornby programme, slippery slope down, the resurgence of actually we're coming back up now. For me, Airfix is who I want to use. That's the wrong word, isn't it? I don't want to use them, I want their assistance. We want their assistance. So we've made contact, and they've got my email address, and they're going to get back in touch, and I'm going to speak to Lou very, very shortly. And we're going to take it from there. In the meantime, this project that's going to last us for the next 10 months is in its infancy. It hasn't even been born yet, has it? It's literally in the womb, if you will, right? But what we're going to do over the next couple of months is give birth to this idea, right? And love it and nurture it and care for it until we get to next November and December and be able to say Scotland, Wales, down south, middle of England, Yorkshire, God's County. This is what we have done all year, and this is what we're going to give to you. So how can you help, you people that are watching this video? Right now, nothing. Can't really do out because we're still finalising things. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about this idea, and until the next video or until Luke puts one out on Friday, just have a think about it and think, actually, I could do this. I want to be a part of this. Let's not make it about Wakefield. Let's literally swamp the country with as many kits as we possibly can to give the disadvantaged and the poorly kids in hospitals every single opportunity that we can as old farts to say, here you go mate, build that, fill your boots, enjoy yourself, love it. Because trust me, in 40 years time you'll be going, so much time on my hands, what can I do? And first thing we want you to think of is building another kit. Okay. If you are not on Black Rifle Model Works YouTube group, look them up. Like, subscribe, share, da-di-da-di-da. That's what we do. And join in. If you want to leave a comment on the bottom of this video, feel free to do so. If you're asking questions, I ain't got any answers, right? Because it's still in the womb. But think about how you can possibly be involved or possibly help. Okay? It's the most whacked out, craziest idea that we could ever have. And I don't know if it'll work. I really don't. And I work for a living and I've got a family and I can't put my life into it, even though my heart says I've got to spend literally the next 10 months putting my life on hold to make this work. I can't do it on my own, and Luke can't do it on his own. But together, we're stronger as a team. But we'll be even stronger with you on board. You're watching this video now. So I'm going to leave it with you. Think about everything that I've said, why we want to do it, how we're going to do it. Feel positive about it for 2023. The radio last year was bombarding my ears with help the kids. And we can help kids get into hobby by providing them with either a non-glue kit or a little glue kit, a 1 in 72. It's a starter set. Like I say, I'm not talking about building tornadoes, right? I'm talking about just introducing people back into hobby so that hopefully, forget that middle period, they'll pick it up at that side of the line and continue with it and share their experiences then with their kids. We'll never get rid of that gap, I don't think. We'll never get rid of the gap. But if we can get them people, them kids, interested in it now, over the other side of the line, they'll rekindle that love for what they did as kids, and they'll pass that on to their kids, and it, obviously the circle continues, doesn't it? Because that's what we want. That's what we all want. It's not just me. All right. 40 minutes I've been going. I've waffled on. I hope I've conveyed the message. I will post this video on my YouTube channel, and I'll be sharing the link to as many people as I possibly can. because I need as many people as I possibly can to help me and Luke, Black Rifle Model Works, Sesku boys and girls, achieve this goal. What's the target? We ain't got one. It's as many as we can. What's the target for money? I ain't got one. It's as much as we can. It's as much as we can in next 10 months to make this work. And look at me, I ain't got a clue. We'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Thank you very, very much for watching all this time. Okay. Don't forget, leave a comment. I'm not fishing for comments on shit. Comments I would like to see are great idea, I can help by. Have you thought about? Maybe I can help. Da-di-da-di-da, right? Because there's only so much weight I can carry on my shoulders. And even with Luke's help, I don't want to feel pressure into making it so big that I can't handle it. Okay? Maybe you can help me and Luke take a bit of pressure and distribute that pressure onto many, many shoulders. Many hands make light work, don't they? Okay, so feel free to leave a comment. Thanks for watching as usual. Drop over to Black Rifle Model Works as well. Subscribe to them guys. Over the next couple of weeks, you'll see this idea really, really coming into fruition, hopefully. It's cold. It's time for bed. Stay safe, everybody. Take care. See you next time. Cheers. Thanks for watching.